What's good, Tamers? This is Akaro from Lockout Games, bringing you another match from Chaos Games at Minot, North Dakota. On the left, we have one of our new players playing Mastemon, and on the right, we have one of my favorite decks, Creepymon. Starting off the game, Digimon is going to be hatched in the back, and Digivolving into a Gabumon from the starter deck on top of that. Then from there, we're going to go into the Boogeyman. This is just going to be a 2-cost Evo that's going to have 7,000 DP, so pretty strong champion that's able to swing in without having to worry about getting destroyed in the security. Starting off their turn, the Mastemon player is going to go into the Omnimon and then Digivolve into Salamon on top of that, being able to DNA Digivolve later in the game if they want at the end of their turn. And then we see them playing a TK, so this is going to let them look at their security and pick one of the cards out of it. If it's yellow, they're going to be able to recover one. So let's see what they grab. Seems like they took the Angelomon. That's kind of showing that they already have some level 4s already, and they want to set up that DNA Digivolving into Mastemon later, which will really help them out later on in the game with some control on the board. It looks like the Creepymon player is going to go ahead and promote and swing with the Boogeyman. This is going to proc the Gabumon underneath of it to draw one card and then trash one card. So it looks like they're going to trash the Soulsmon, and right now Boogeymon's only 7k, but it does swing in and hit the Witchmon, so this is going to hit the security effect, letting it hit the field, and with nothing in the trash, the Mastemon player is not going to have anything to bring back to their hand. Now the Creepymon player is going to follow up with an Analog Youth, and it looks like they're going to pull a Cerberusmon to their hand from it, and sending a Creepymon as well as another card into the trash. But we do know that in purple, once it goes into the trash, it really just becomes an extension of your hand. And showing that off, they're going to play a Madashita to finish out the turn. It looks like they're deciding on what they want to pull from it, and they grab a Dobermon. So this is going to be another 7,000 DP level 4 that they're going to be able to Digivolve into and swing into security without having to worry about it too much. Starting the turn, the Mastemon player is going to go ahead and promote the Salamon, and from there they're going to Digivolve into the starter deck Gabumon. This is really going to set up the DNA Digivolving for later, and then Digivolving straight into the Angelomon for 1 due to the Gabumon's effect, which is very powerful, getting him a level 5. And already getting up to 1/2 of what they need to make Mastemon, but it looks like they're going to play a Tsukaimon straight from hand and probably search for that Mastemon as they don't seem to have it in their hand. Otherwise, they might have Digivolved on a level 5 on top of the Witchmon so that they could have DNA Digivolved at the end of the turn. So it looks like Boogeyman is going to live throughout that setup turn for the Mastemon player. We do see Demimeramon being hatched in the back row for the Creepymon player, and they're going to go ahead and Digivolve into the Cerberusmon. With the Analog Youth on the field, it's going to be a big bonus if it does get destroyed. But Digivolving the Impmon in the back row on the Demimeramon, and then going straight into Creepymon on top of the Cerberusmon. So with 3 Digimon out on the field, the Creepymon player is going to mill the top 6 cards of their deck, and then because there was 4 or more cards milled that way, they are going to be able to play a level 5 or lower purple Digimon from their trash back onto the field. And we do see the Cerberusmon Werewolf mode come down. Just a 9,000 DP Digimon hitting the field. It does have Rush, but because there was 3 memory passed over to the Mastemon player, it is going to be their turn. And we do see them hatch a Nyaramon in the back row, and it looks like they have a lot of good stuff set up. We do see the Nyaramon Digivolving into another DNA Digivolving Salamon. And it looks like the Mastemon player has a good enough board to set up into the Mastemon if they want. They just need another level 5 on the board to DNA Digivolve and get its full effect. But we do see the Tsukaimon Digivolving into a Gabumon, using 3 of that memory and drawing a card. And then we see the Lady Devimon coming out on top of that for 1. So they are going to use the ability to trash a card and look for an Angel, Fallen Angel, or an Archangel from their deck off the top 3 cards. And it seems like they trashed a Witchmon. We do see the cards being looked at, and all 3 of them seem to have whiffed, so they're going to go to the bottom of the deck. However, the turn is passed over to the Creepymon player, but because of the Salamon's effect, if they have the Mastemon in hand, they are going to be able to Digivolve into it, and we do see that happening with a little bit of a cut, going into the Mastemon and triggering its awesome effect. So they're going to be able to put a yellow or purple Digimon onto the top of their security, and then from there, they're going to be able to look at the security and bring a level 5 or lower Digimon card in play without paying its memory cost. And then with the Mastemon's all-turn ability, being able to pop a Digimon of that level or lower. So just a lot of good effects with this card as it's able to establish board presence and control the opponent at the same time. A lot of good effects when you DNA Digivolve it. And we see Lady Devimon being played from the security, so because it's a level 5, it's actually going to be able to take out the Werewolf mode on the Creepymon player side of the field and bringing them down to 1 Digimon actively out there. Here, Mastemon's all turns effect trigger, and there goes Cerberusmon Werewolf mode. The turn officially passes, and the Creepymon player is going to go up to 3 memory due to the Madashita. We see them pushing up the Impmon, now still having 2 Digimon on the field. Creepymon can swing in and remove 1 security, but the problem is Mastemon's just going to be able to swing right back over it. So right now, the Creepymon player really needs to find a way to deal with Mastemon, because the longer it sits on the field, the more it's able to do. So they swing in with the Impmon, and it hits another Mastemon in the security, deleting the Impmon, but that's not too much of a problem, as you want to delete as much security as possible against a Mastemon deck so they don't have stuff to draw from. Creepymon swings in, triggering the Gabumon, and we do see them drawing a card and then pitching a Lucemon into the trash. From here, Creepymon's effect goes off, and for every 10 cards, they're going to mill the top 3 of their opponent's deck, and we see a Salamon followed by 2 Karis, so getting those Tamers out of the way so that they're not getting extra memory per turn. And with that, Creepymon's also going to go up with 3000 DP, and it hits another Witchmon, so this is going to let the Mastemon player bring back a level 5 or lower Digimon to their hand. And right now, their board is looking pretty big, as they have 4 Digimon on the field right now, with 1 Digimon in the back row. However, the Creepymon player is at 5 security still, but they need to find some way to start getting rid of some of the Digimon on the field, and it looks like they're contemplating Digivolving, and they go into an Omnimon's Wart defeat, so it's only going to cost them 3 memory, and they're going to be able to delete that TK to make sure that the Mastemon player isn't resetting their memory every turn. That's going to help a little bit, as well as it can't really be swung into, because the moment that it dies, it's able to take out another Digimon, and then we see a hard play Dead or Alive. So this is going to allow them to bring back a Lucemon Chaos mode, and that's going to be able to pop 1 level 6 or lower Digimon on the Mastemon player side of the field. So it looks like originally they're going to want to go for the Mastemon and take that out, as it does have a lot of abilities that keep it very relevant the longer it stays on the field, and is able to just pick apart any level 5 or lower Digimon that are on the Creepymon player side of the field. So the Mastemon player is going to start off with 8 memory this turn, a whole bunch, and they're able to do a lot. They do have 4 Digimon as well, so they are in a pretty good position, and they can really use this turn to inflict a lot of damage on the Creepymon player. They decide to take advantage of all the memory that the Creepymon player gave them, using 6 of it to play an Angelomon straight from the hand, and giving -2 security to the Omnimon's Wart defeat. And with an Angelwoman and a Lady Devimon on the field, we're going to see him DNA Digivolve into a Mastemon. I think this play was a great use of the amount of memory that the Creepymon player gave the Mastemon player, as they're still going to be at 2. They're going to get all the bonuses from the Mastemon's ability, and they're going to be able to once again start controlling the board and setting themselves up for a good offensive at this point. So going into the Mastemon, we do see the recovery, and then they're going to go ahead and shuffle their security and play a Digimon from there if they're able to. From there, it looks like they might not have had a level 5 or lower Digimon in the security, which is kind of interesting, or they just might have missed the ability, but it looks like they're going to start swinging in with the Witchmon. The first one hits an Impmon, so that's going to live, just applying that pressure and starting the clock for the Creepymon player now. The second Witchmon swinging in and hitting a Lady Devimon, so it is going to get deleted, but they still have 3 Digimon on the board, 2 memory, and the security on the Creepymon player side is only at 3. They're going to swing in with a Mastemon, who has security attack +1 and does not have summoning sickness because it DNA Digivolved, but then a call from the Underworld is going to be hit. So the Creepymon player is going to be able to play a level 4 or lower from their trash without paying the Digivolution cost, and it looks like they go into the Impmon. That's going to be able to trash a card on play and pull back a 7 Great Demon Lord or a 3 Musketeers, and it looks like they pull another Creepymon from their trash. So at this point, the Mastemon player has dropped the Creepymon player down to 1 security, and they still have 3 Digimon on the board. I think they're in a really great position right now, and then they throw a Chaos Degradation onto the field, so this is going to be able to remove 1 of the Digimon off of the Creepymon player side of the field and pretty much get rid of it for the rest of the game. Great removal for yellow and purple, as it's able to bypass any on-deletion effects. It's able to get rid of any big stack Digimon, and it looks like they go for the Lucemon to keep the Creepymon from being played. This is going to keep the Creepymon player at 6 memory, but they're going to have to build back up on the board. So we do see Sudamon hatching in the back row and then going into the starter deck Gabumon again. And now I think we've hit a pretty interesting point in the match. So the Omnimon's Wart defeat is still at security attack -2 right now, so it's not able to swing into the security and do anything, and the Impmon's really not strong enough to do it by itself, so it is going to Digivolve into the Dobermon for 2, leaving the Creepymon player at 4 and drawing a card. Now I think the most important thing that the Creepymon player could do is start getting rid of Digimon on the board, as they only have 1 security left, and they are going to go into the Lady Devimon for 3, allowing them to draw 2 cards off of the ability and then trash 2. And it looks like they're going to go ahead and trash a Lucemon, which is going to be great for this style of the deck, and a Soulsmon as well. Still at 1 memory, and we do know that they have the Creepymon in hand, but they need to remove Digimon, so the Omnimon's Wart defeat's actually going to swing in attacking and actually trading with the Mastemon, which is going to trigger a couple of abilities, but we do see the Gabumon going off first, where it's going to be able to draw a card and then pitch a card. With both Digimon dying, the Omnimon Zwart defeat is actually going to be able to delete any of the opponent's Digimon, so they're going to delete the Salamon, and because it was a level 5 or higher, that's going to also trigger the Analog Youth, getting them 1 memory and hatching a card in the breeding area, but they already have 1 hatch, so they're just going to gain the memory for that. Now, they're not going to get the max play if they Digivolve into the Creepymon, but that's not going to matter because the Lady Devimon is going to swing into the Witchmon, and with 1 turn, the Creepymon player was actually able to clear the whole board and still start setting up their own. So they're going to play an Impmon that has the on-deletion effect of milling the top 3 cards and pass only 1 memory over to the Mastemon player. From there, they're going to hatch into the Diaramon in the back, going into another of the DNA Digivolving Salamon, but they're really going to have to quickly try and build a board as they pretty much got reset with that 1 turn, and now they're playing from behind. So we do see the Kari coming out for 4, which is going to be a good memory resetter, and is going to be able to draw them or get them another memory if they take a card and add it to their security. Gabumon gets promoted, and now the Creepymon player has 3 Digimon on the battle area to the Mastemon player's 3 security. So it looks like they're going to be able to start mounting some sort of offensive. Gabumon's going to get Digivolved into Boogieymon, once again having that pretty high DP of 7k and not going to be easily deleted in the security if it swings in. Now, the Creepymon player is still in an interesting situation as they do have a lot of Digimon on board that are able to swing in, but they still only have 1 security themselves, so they have to be careful not to overextend. And we do see the Lady Devimon going in and hitting the Mastemon. I'd say this is a pretty critical moment because now they gain the 1 memory, but more importantly, they're able to hatch that Sunamon in the back row and then Digivolve into a Gabumon on top of that. So now if they're able to get rid of security, they for sure have 1 Digimon that can't be affected by anything, and that's in the back row that's able to attack in and swing in for game. We do see the Impmon Digivolving into the Ogremon, and that could actually also take out both security as well, because when it attacks, you're able to trash 1 card and give it security attack +1. So the Creepymon player is going to go ahead and do that, trashing a call from the Underworld, which is actually going to draw them a card, just getting that extra bonus. And the first thing that they hit is a Kari, so that's actually really good for the Creepymon player, as it is going to survive the attack and continue on checking the security. And it looks like the final thing that they hit is going to be a Chaos Degradation. This is actually going to let the Mastemon player get rid of the Boogieymon, putting it back into the Creepymon player's security, and really just buying themselves 1 more turn. They are still in a very bad situation as they have to get rid of the Ogremon and find some way of protecting against the Gabumon as well, but this does buy them at least a little bit of time. So we'll see what the Creepymon player does. They go into the Genkakumon in the back row on top of the Gabumon, Digivolving and just drawing some more cards, using that 3 memory that they do have for the turn, and then passing their turn over to the Mastemon player. So the Mastemon player raises the Salamon up, and it does have a lot of work that it needs to do, taking out an Ogremon, as well as finding some sort of way to get rid of the Genkakumon, or at least protect against it in the back row. But we do see one of the Karis going into a Kazamon, which could crash into the Ogremon, getting rid of that. And if they have some sort of blocker in the Mastemon deck, then they're actually going to be able to survive a little bit longer. And we see them thinking a little bit. They might not actually have the blocker, and with 1 memory right now, they don't have a lot of options that they can use to keep themselves alive for the turn. So this situation is actually pretty interesting because the Mastemon player was actually saved by the Chaos Degradation last turn. It brought the Creepymon player up to 2 security, and even with Digivolving one of their tamers into a hybrid, they would have actually had 2 attacks to the 1 security and could have swung for game, but they're not able to do that now. So they pass the turn with Digivolving, Ogremon swings in, and Creepymon's going to take the first game. So it looks like both players have their starting hand set and the security down. Let's go ahead and get into that second match, and it looks like Mastemon's going to start us off. So in the back row, they hatch into a Niaramon. It seems like they might be deciding on something, so they might not have a level 3, which is not a good sign, especially on the first turn. And yeah, that's the case. It looks like they're going to go ahead and hard play an Angelomon for 6. That's going to set the Creepymon player with a lot of memory for their turn as they go in and hatch a Sunamon, and then Digivolve into the starter deck Gabumon. And although the Mastemon player passed a lot of memory, they're not necessarily in the worst position, as the Creepymon deck isn't known for taking a lot of security. With that, we do see the Gabumon Digivolving into the Ogremon from the Classic Collection, being able to give itself +1 security check, and then hard playing a Soulmon to get another champion on the board. And we do see them playing a Mat and setting themselves up so that they have memory for the rest of the game and they're not going to be able to get memory locked. So heading back over to the Mastemon player, they have 4 memory this turn, so they might be able to do something with it, but looking at their hand right now, it doesn't seem like they actually got that level 3 that they need. Next, the Mastemon player goes into a Darkness Wave. This is going to just get some cards into the trash, and they might be able to pull a card that they need, maybe a level 4 or a level 3, and we do see that they actually weren't going to get a level 3 for the next 3 turns, or at least until they could have dug into it, but they do take the Gatomon and put that into their hands, and do have a couple cards that they might be able to pull back from the trash later. And then on top of the Angelomon, we see them Digivolving into the Mastemon, just paying the whole Digivolution price for that. They're not going to get all the effects from Digivolving into the Mastemon this way. However, having it on the board is very important because now it's going to be able to start deleting Digimon one by one if it's not answered pretty soon by the Creepymon player. Switching over to the turn to the Creepymon player, they start off with 3 memory thanks to the mat. They are going to go ahead and promote the Ogremon. This is going to swing in, and let's see if they use their security ability. It looks like they're actually triggering it, so they're deciding which card to trash, and they're already going to trash a Call from the Underworld, which when trashed from your hand is actually going to draw you a card. So this is just going to be some cycling without having to lose anything, and then also triggering the Gabumon, draw one, and then pitch one. So a decent amount of hand cycling just happened, and the first check is actually going to run into a Mastemon, so Ogremon's going to be deleted, not getting to check the second security, bringing the Mastemon player back down to 5, and I think in that instance you try and get them as low as possible, even if your Digimon might not live. And we do see an Underworld's Call being played that's going to set the Mastemon player to 1, and the Ogremon's just going to come right back onto the field. So that worked out really well for the Creepymon player, as now they still have 2 Digimon, and one of them is able to check 2 security on the following turn. The Mastemon player goes into a Tsukaimon in the back row, starting off their turn, so they finally got that level 3. Let's see if they're able to capitalize on this now. And we do see a Chaos Degradation hitting the field, so this is going to set back the Creepymon player. It might have been a little bit of memory to pay for just getting rid of 1 Digimon, and you do see the top of the security getting milled. It looks like a purple memory boost. Going into the Creepymon player's turn, we do see the Demi-Meramon being hatched in the back row, and then the Soulmon Digivolving into the Cerberus Werewolf mode. So 9,000 DP able to swing in and not having a lot to worry about in security. Next, they go into a Creepymon, so that's going to be interesting. They are going to be able to mill the top 2 cards of their deck, not getting the special effect as it wasn't 4 or more. They are going to gain 1 memory because of the Soulmon underneath, so that's going to leave them at 2, and still have a decent Digimon to swing into if they need to, or maybe going into a level 7 from here. It looks like they're thinking a little bit about what they want to do and trying to set it up. Creepymon doesn't really get too much of a good bonus from the beginning, but we do see the Omnimon's Wart defeat being played from there. So setting the Mastemon player at 1 and now having a Digimon that can swing into the Mastemon. But we do see a Chaos Degradation, and that's just going to get rid of the Omnimon's Wart defeat. A really good card for that as it's not destroying it, and it is going to be able to take out a security as well. So the Creepymon player is going to start off with 7 memory for this turn, but they're going to have to rebuild, and we do see them starting with Digivolving the Demi-Meramon into the Impmon in the back row, and then a quick count of cards, so this might be indicating that there's going to be a play of the Lucemon Chaos mode, and that hitting the field directly is going to be able to delete the Mastemon as it can take out a Tamer or a level 6 or lower Digimon. I'd say that was a real good use of the memory. The Mastemon player is back up to 4, but once again, we've seen a lot of control going back and forth in this match, and it's been really good. Nobody's been able to keep a whole bunch of Digimon on the field, and now the Mastemon player is going into the Gabumon from the starter deck, so starting to build up once again and clear out the back row so they can maybe start cycling through some cards, and we do see Gabumon going into the Lady Devimon as well. Let's see if they want to use her ability to trash 1 card and look at the top 3 cards of the deck to see if they can find an Angel. It seems like they're still deciding. They might actually have some good cards in hand that they already need, but they do trash what looks like to be a Wizardmon, and the top 3 are actually going to break 2 Salamons and a Akari, which is very unfortunate. They might have been looking for a Mastemon, as we do know that 1 got destroyed and 1 was already in the trash to begin with, and from there they're just going to hard play a Wizardmon. Passing turn over to the Creepymon player, they're going to have 5 memory to start off, a decent amount, and right now they only have a Lucemon on the board, but it looks pretty even after promoting the Impmon. Both players are in about the same position, I'd say, with a slight advantage to the Creepymon player having a reset Tamer on their side of the field. Starting off with combat, we see Lucemon swinging into the security. This is a pretty safe swing, and it does hit an Angelomon, so it's not going to go down. That's going to bring the Mastemon player down to 4 security for the turn. And then Impmon's going to Digivolve into Kinkakumon. This card is pretty good in this deck, as you're able to get 1 memory from trashing cards really easy. Then they go into Cerberusmon on top of that Kinkakumon, setting up a nice level 5 stack. Now, the Creepymon player could go into Creepymon here and get the full benefit, as there are 2 Digimon on the Mastemon player side, and it looks like they're going to want to do that next turn, so they do play the Madashida to grab the Creepymon from the trash. Passing the turn and setting up the Mastemon player with 4 memory. So I think this turn they're really going to have to do a bit of catching up, as the Creepymon player is setting up a solid board. We do see TK coming out into the field. They are going to be able to look at their security, and I think this is a great use of the 4 memory, and from there they're going to pull out a Mastemon. This is really going to help them as they have a level 5 with a Gatomon DNA Digivolve ability underneath of it, and a level 4 already set up in position, so they can just Digivolve right into a level 5 on top of that, pass over the turn, and get all of the effects that they need from the Mastemon to recover and play a Digimon as well. So looking at their hand, it looks like they have a yellow memory boost, and a few other cards that I wasn't able to see. I am interested to see what they play. And they go with the yellow memory boost, so they actually might not have a level 5 that they can Digivolve into in their hand, which is highly unfortunate, as I think that would have really helped turn the tides with the Mastemon. Over on the Creepymon player side of the field, we see Demi-Meramon, and then the Mastemon player forgot to hatch their Digitama, and we're just going to let that happen as they had meant to do that. And now we see Creepymon going into the field, and with its ability, it's going to trash the top 4. Now a really cool combo is about to happen as Cerberusmon Werewolf Mode is going to hit the field. It has Rush, but it also has an on-play ability, being able to delete a Cerberusmon and then gain 9 memory. So it's going to delete the Cerberusmon that's on the field. They are going to get to draw 2 cards and then pitch 1 card, as well as do some of the other abilities on their inheritables underneath. So a whole bunch of stuff is going to trigger from this. And then after that, 9 memory for the Creepymon player, which is really good. Then straight playing a Dead or Alive from hand, bringing back a Lucemon Chaos Mode, way more than 10 cards in the trash, so they can target either a Lucemon in general or specifically a level 5 purple Digimon, but they are going to bring the Chaos Mode, get rid of that level 5 on the field, as well as setting up a really dangerous board presence. This is honestly one of my favorite combos with the deck, and I think it's so cool when it finally actually happens. Then we see Gabumon being Digivolved and Demi-Meramon in the back row, Cerberusmon attacking in and hitting another Chaos Degradation. This card is just doing so much for the Mastemon player, and with a security effect, it is going to make one of the Digimon go to the bottom of the security, but not actually get rid of one. Coming up is going to be a bit of a misplay. The Lucemon is going to swing into security, and as it was played this turn, it actually does have summoning sickness, so it wouldn't be allowed to do that. And we apologize for not catching that during our filming. Swinging in, it hits a Darkness Wave, and this is going to let the Mastemon player look through their trash and bring back a Digimon, and we'll see what they decide that they want to take. And it looks like they're going to go with the Jogress Mastemon. From here, another Dead or Alive is going to hit the field, so that's going to give the Mastemon player a lot of memory, but that's just going to clear the board, and from there they're going to have to really build up. Not being able to push up a Digimon from the breeding area as it's still a level 2, and they do have a lot of memory anyway with the yellow memory boost, so we do see them Digivolve into a Salamon in the back row, and then go straight into the Gatomon for 3 on top of that. So right now I think the Mastemon player needs to have a big turn, using all the memory they possibly can to either get rid of some of the Digimon on the board or give them minus security attack so that they don't lose on the following turn. And we see the Lady Devimon being Digivolved in the back row. It's going to get to draw a card, but not going to be able to use its effect. And a Kazumon being Digivolved on top of the TK. So it is going to have 5,000. It's not going to be enough to swing over anything. And then hard playing a Gatomon from hand. So it looks like they didn't have much, and they might be relying a little bit on security to keep them alive. If a Chaos Derogation or some other bounce or destroy abilities are in the security, they might actually be able to stay alive. The turn passes over to the Creepymon player with 3 memory, and it looks like they are going to be in a pretty strong position right now to just start swinging out with a lot of high DP Digimon. They promote the Gabumon from the back row, and now they have 4 Digimon on the battlefield right now. Looks like they're going to Digivolve on top of the Lucemon, going into another Creepymon, and with 2 Digimon on the Mastemon player side of the field, they are going to mill the top 4 cards of their deck, and then be able to place another Digimon onto the field, and it looks like they chose Cerberusmon. Right now they have 5 Digimon on the field, and it looks like their goal is just to overwhelm the Mastemon player, and they're going to hard play the Cerberusmon Werewolf Mode, which is going to get rid of the Cerberusmon, and it also has Rush, so it's going to be able to attack this turn, and that's 5 Digimon that's going to be able to go into the security and start hitting. Creepymon's going to be the first one to swing in, triggering its ability, and there are at least 20 cards in the Creepymon player's trash, so that's going to mill the top 6 of the Mastemon player's deck, as well as boosting Creepymon up by 6,000. It crashes into a Witchmon, which is actually going to proc, and then letting the Mastemon player pull something from their trash. But at this point, I don't know if it's going to matter too much, with 1 security left and still 4 Digimon that can swing in. Cerberusmon Werewolf Mode swings in on the end, hitting a Witchmon, and then Lucemon is going to swing in to finish off the game, giving it 0-2 to Creepymon. If you enjoyed the video and watching both decks go head-to-head, please like and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help us out, and leave a comment with what you're looking forward to most in EX02. Well, until next time, Tamers, let's get that gate closed.